Those little classical, those I was influenced by, and if you could play classical, you can play basically anything. And I mean, that's I'm fat now, but it's okay. I'm still the best. I mean, he's just like I mean, he didn't say that, but
phenomenal.
Yeah, he was so good, man.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are back. Everything's late. Nobody dies. Episode number 79.
Lucky 79.
That's it.
Lucky 79.
I feel like we've waited for this one all our lives.
Okay, sorry.
You sound like that gorilla from what the hell's the name of that show?
Who's calling me?
Jungle Book. I don't know.
Oh, King Louie?
Yeah, King Louie.
I wanna be like you. Yeah. Lucky 79.
So, how's it been going?
It's been good. Yeah, I've been getting through it's been a good week. I've been getting through so many books. Oh my god, man, putting so much stuff out.
I don't know. It looks to me like you've got the same amount lined up on these tables.
No, because you can look over there. Remember the box you dropped? Remember that box you dropped?
Yeah, the box I dropped.
That's pretty much gone through now.
Nice.
I was like, hey, shut out here before we start throwing it around again. No, man, we got that. We got a huge collection of I put some pictures up on the media socials, but big old collection of slab Star Wars books.
Right, all the action figure variants, yes. All in 9.8.
Yep,
really nice looking.
9.8. Every single one is a 9.8.
Yeah, and
which is crazy.
Before I leave here, I'll take some pictures of those. We'll throw them up in the group because those are some cool looking books.
Yeah, they're for sure. Yeah. Another guy that brought a bunch of slab stuff in, and I don't know what's going on with it, but and people are getting rid of a lot of that stuff right now, and I can get them for good prices. So what does it matter, right?
Well, and I've noticed. I mean, the prices that you have on them, they're pretty damn reasonable. I think.
I mean, and most of the stuff I have slabbed over here is honestly from like $40 to $60, man. That's about how much it costs to send them out, get them slabbed, and send them back.
Right.
Oh man, I'll show you this after because I'm not sure he wants me to. Pretty sure he doesn't want me to put this up and talk about it, but there's an X-Men book that back there.
Oh,
that we got back. That's wow.
Nice.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah, I've been noticing that kind of the trends. A lot of the modern stuff. We went through that. It started in the COVID lockdown, but we went through that period where there was all that modern stuff that was getting slabbed. A lot of variants getting slabbed. I was looking at listing some stuff, and I was looking at the Batman 1 in 25 Jimenez variants, those character design variants.
Oh yeah,
and some of those, like during that time period, the book of the week period, they were going for like $50 a shot.
Oh yeah,
and now they're like $6-7.
Yeah, I mean it's a 1 in 15. It shouldn't be any more than 10. I mean, I would put them at 10, but no, it shouldn't be any more than $15.
Well, they're 1 in 25.
Oh, okay. Well, then, I would put them at $15 then.
Right.
But they shouldn't be more than 25.
I think, I bought some of them off the shelf from you here for 15.
Yeah, that's what they would have been.
Yeah.
That's what I would have priced them as, is 15, 1 or 25. I think that's a fair, that's a fair price for 1 in 25 because it's not too expensive. But then again, I have to make something up because
you had to order.
Had to order more. Yeah, had to order more to get them. So, but the one thing I do like now though that DC is actually two things I like that DC is doing. They went back to the Bullet logo, DC Bullet,
right,
which makes me feel like they're DC books again, and I love that. And then if you look on those variants now, they put 1 in 25, 1 in 50.
Oh, they do
actually down by the UPC.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They still put the same cover price on. I don't really feel like they should do that.
Right.
And because, nobody's going to sell that for cover price, really.
Right.
A 1 in 25, you know what I mean? And, somebody doesn't know the industry and doesn't understand how that works. And we've had people that do that, of course, and I'm not saying everybody has to be an expert when they walk in, but, when somebody walks in and they're new to comics and they're like, why does it say $15 if it says $4.99? I don't understand the pricing, and then you've got to explain, well,
Right.
You know, it's a ratio variant. And of course, people were like, what's a ratio? And I'm like, well, it's like
Yeah.
a radio, but it's misspelled. It's, you know, you have to explain what you have to do to get that. You have to explain a whole lot of stuff. So I think maybe they should be taking those prices off of there.
Well, and if they took the price off, then would you just be explaining why there's no price on it? I mean,
Yeah, but it would make more sense to them.
it would
I mean,
definitely
you know,
make more sense.
If they took the price off and where the price is, put 1 in 25 variant.
Yeah.
There you go. You know,
Problem
or
solved.
even just don't put it in there and keep it in the indicia or whatever. I mean, or in the UPC. You know, I mean, you're going to have to explain it to people, but if there's no price on it, it's easier to explain.
Yeah.
You know,
And
but-
I've heard over the years people talking about it and saying, well, you know, I can get it from such and such shop at cover price. Really, you just walk in and get it. And they're like, no, you have to buy $50 worth of books. But then
that's
at that
not
point,
cover price.
well, that's
then.
not cover price.
If you buy 25
Right.
cover A's at cover price and then buy your 1 in 25 at cover price,
Yeah.
those are $5 books, man. So you're buying 26 books at $5.
Right.
You're paying $130 for that book, man. So no, that ain't cover price.
Right.
I mean, technically, I guess it is, but you know, whatever. Anyhow, anyway, so we're talking about Batman, huh?
Yeah. I thought, you know, October is a good Batman month.
Mhm.
I dropped the ball on this, like you dropped the ball on this. I was going to bring in a couple books.
Yeah.
I
didn't so much drop the ball as I did just go downstairs, look around, and see that I had moved everything around
And you
because we
couldn't
had
find
some
the
house
ball.
repairs, and I just went, I don't even want to look for the ball. I want to go to work now. So, you know, I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. No.
But yeah, so my Batman experience, okay, so my first books were Spider-Man. I think that's a lot of people.
Mhm.
But Batman was one I really fell in love with first.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of the TV series or anything like
No,
that.
no.
I think I actually read Batman comics before I watched the
Yeah,
60s
yeah.
TV series. I mean, I saw Super Friends on TV, I'm sure.
I mean, you know, when the 1966 show came out, you and I were both a little old for that. We're in our 30s. So, you know, I mean, it's tough. To, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little immature, but whatever. Fine. Anyway, but no, I get into, you know, I think one thing that really got me into Spider-Man, because I would get this stuff anyway when I was a kid, but the Three's Company. What did he guest start on Three's Company? When he was on Electric Company.
Oh yeah.
Remember that when he was living with Chrissy and
Right.
and Janet,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
was trying to sleep with both of them, but he was pretending he was gay.
And Morgan Freeman was the landlord.
Morgan Freeman was the landlord. Yeah.
Rita Moreno come out.
Look how Peter walks into it. And Rita Moreno would hang. Yes. And sing Hunting Enough in America.
Yeah.
Anyway, boy, that went all over the place, didn't it?
Yeah, that was.
But yeah, you know, I mean, I think, you know, I feel like, yeah, so this is what it was. This kind of got me like really into it because I remember being a kid and watching that, and Mary would like climb from panel to panel. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It moves, you know, and I was like, yeah, okay. You know, and then that, you know, that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
But yeah, I really got into Batman from the books, like from reading. Detective Comics was where I started Batman.
Huh.
And I loved the idea of a superhero detective. I just thought that was
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
like the coolest thing ever.
You know, 'cause, I mean, yeah, you'd have all the detective characters, but none of them were really superheroes.
Right.
Yeah, they would all just show up and they're like, well, that was a good case.
Yeah.
Glad we did that.
I mean, and I liked Dick Tracy. I think Dick Tracy was cool back in the day. And
Yeah.
even the Phantom and Green Hornet and all that. But Batman was one because like he had everything like right at his fingertip. He'd whip that,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
right out of the utility belt. He's dusting for prints,
There you
and
go.
running your DNA before they even knew what DNA was. Like he knew what he was doing. Little cameras and
Yeah. No, he was like a little spy store. He was
Yeah.
walking around, man. You know, it was pretty cool. I think I actually started reading Batman. I think I started picking it up you know, when it was God, I think it was Justice League. And then they had the Justice Society, when they would have both their pictures on, like their pictures all the way down each side of the page, and
on
that splash page, and I would think that, I would look at that like Wildcat
checkerboard, DC checkerboard on top,
and like the Wildcat and the creepy looking Robin. They kind of scared me a little bit when I was a kid, and I'm like, I don't know, these people, are they like, is this like Dr. Moreau shit, or what's going on, man? They looked a little odd, but and then I went to that other stuff, the Batman, as I started buying Detective and Batman, and like anything I could get Batman, anything I could do, to get a Batman comic was like, yes, that's awesome, man. And then of course, you start going back and you start getting the Neil Adams stuff and, that kind of stuff. And it's just like, man, that's one of the things that I'm actually, with that, when I think of Batman, I think of Neil Adams.
Yeah.
And I think, and when I was a kid, I'm growing up and I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, this is the best thing in the world, man. This is so cool, and looking at that and then being like fortunate enough later in my life to not only meet him, but like, hang out with him and kind of form a little bit of a friendship with him and everything, and just think back and be like, oh my God, man, this is the guy.
Yeah. I think for sure, at least when I think of Batman, Neil Adams is the definitive Batman for me.
Yeah.
For me.
And then I think right after that, like my favorite Batman artist, Neil, Jim Aparo, Kelly Jones.
Yeah.
Those are my guys, man.
Kelly Jones was, for sure.
He made him scary looking.
Well, like, Batman was, that's exactly. It's supposed to be kind of scary looking.
Yeah.
Carrie, Chug, creator of Sledge comic books right here.
Oh, yeah.
Right here in Utah. First exposure to Spidey was the Electric Company. Beat Batman to the punch and working with Morgan Freeman.
There you go. Man. Yeah, actually did. Yeah, you're right. Reruns. I guess they both did. Technically, yeah.
Reruns of the 60 series was my intro to Batman, and I did eventually read. Jim Lee is my favorite Bat artist. So when we talk about eras of Batman, of course, I don't think
very distinct eras.
Well, and I don't think that, and it may just be a generational thing because DC has been around for so long. Detective, what was it? First Batman, Detective 67?
27.
20. Okay. So Detective 27, the Bob Kane era, when did that come out? That was
what, 38?
30s?
Yeah, 38, maybe 38, 39, something like that.
So, that was before my dad was even born. So it may just be generational that we don't think of the Bob Kane era as
right,
Batman.
But you know what? But he wasn't as good. He was not the same type of, he didn't have the same kind of draftsmanship, it was, but it was also a very primitive industry at that point.
Right.
You didn't have to do much. You didn't have to put this more realistic slant on it. And because it was a fantasy thing essentially for kids.
Well, I think at that point, Batman was considered more of a fringe character too, because Superman was the guy, right?
Right. Yeah.
He was the first one to get 2 books. He was the first one to not only get 2 books, but have a universe built around him with Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane and Superboy, the Legion, all of that. And you never had that with Batman until the modern era.
Well, it was, you had Commissioner Gordon, you had Barbara Gordon, and you had
but they didn't have their own
Kathy
books,
Kane, and you had Robin, but they didn't have their own books.
Right. But you have Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane as seen in
Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane.
Yeah.
She's the lady. She doesn't get her own title.
Terry saying 1939.
39. Yep, there you go.
So I do think that from inception, from 39 till probably the TV series era,
Mhm.
that entire time, Batman was more of a back burner type character.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the TV show kind of saved him a little bit.
I think so. I think he would have been. I mean, it's much the same way that Iron Man was a nobody until the movie came
Right.
out.
Yeah.
People who read the books knew who Batman was and were big fans, but Superman's the one that got all the press.
And it's funny to think that because it was. I mean, God, man, that would have been almost 40 years apart. Yeah. Really, 66 to whenever the Iron Man stuff started.
Yeah.
And it is almost exactly the same thing.
Oh yeah,
almost exact same circumstances.
Oh yeah, yeah. They couldn't get Superman for TV, but they could get Batman because nobody cares about Batman.
Yeah, nobody cared about that.
Huh? And that TV show was so much fun that people just bought into it. And I mean, let's face it, it was so much fun not because of Batman; it was the villains that people turned into.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it was the villains, and it was and it was campy and it was goofy and like kids could watch it and be like, "Whoa, cool, man," and not really understand how goofy it was,
right?
And then adults could watch it and just enjoy the campiness and the silliness of it.
And there was enough.
It bridged a little bit of a generational bridge there.
There was enough very subtle adult humor in that show that that it kept the adults entertained and coming back for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was also, I mean, I'm not a big golden age reader unless you're talking about like the pre-code horror and that kind of stuff, sci-fi. But golden age superheroes was very basic and very like lowest common denominator type stuff.
Yeah.
And it was that way for Batman until really the late 70s.
I would say early 70s when Neil came on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Neil Adams is the one that
would
really turned it around.
Yeah.
And he was a fan of that Batman TV show.
Yeah.
He's like, I could do something with that character. Mm-hmm. And, he was such a really fun guy. Like he was very upbeat and positive all the time. And unless you got to talk about politics, and that's a whole different thing.
Or My Little Pony.
But he really looked at Batman as a darker type character. And I think that's what Batman needed to really come into fruition.
Well, I mean, and he kind of brought him back to the roots of what he was, because initially he was very dark. I mean,
for sure.
It was very dark, and it was a dark,
violent
detective.
There was a
comic.
Bad time for somebody like Bob Kane.
Mm.
This artistic, probably in the LGBTQ fringes, if not completely closeted.
Yeah.
Jewish kid, like in the late 30s, like that. There's a lot of darkness.
There's
there in New York.
A lot of fear.
Yeah,
a lot of fear.
So just the creation of Batman and the darkness that went along with that character. But
I mean, they changed that with the code stuff,
right?
And said, no, look, we got to get rid of this, maybe gay subtext. We got to get rid of that,
right?
Right. Let's get Batman a girlfriend.
Yeah,
because
we're spending too much time with Robin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Robin, the creator. No, sorry. Dumb. But they did that. They're like, okay, take away his gun. He doesn't kill people anymore. And he won't use a gun. That's how his parents were killed. Let's get rid of that whole mythology of that. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of the super, super darkness. Man, the Joker was terrifying.
Oh yeah.
He was scary, man.
Right.
And then they kind of camped it up and cartooned him up a little bit. And that's when it got super popular.
Right. And we do see a lot I get asked a lot in these conversations about, what are the great American novels? And, I read Stephen King and I read, John Brown and all this stuff.
Stephen King really likes this. It says it there.
I did notice that earlier. But to me, this book always comes up. This and Watchmen always come up as great American literature.
And you know what? And I think this was more of a game changer, but I think Year One was a better story.
I definitely agree. Year One was a better story.
I really think it was.
But there would be no Year One without Dark Knight.
That is true. That's why I say it's probably more important.
Right.
It's more of a game changer.
And he gets a lot of recognition as being the person that kind of took Batman from that 1960s campy, early 70s Batman stuff into what it became with the Burton films and all that.
But he didn't.
Right.
I mean,
right.
And like
he did. He took that and capitalized on it. But he's not the one that took that.
What he did is he built on what they had done a decade earlier.
Right.
And then went, yeah, okay, great, let's do it. I mean, and this is about the same time. It's around the same time as Death in the Family came out, and
right.
Year One was right after that, and I mean that was all like within a couple of years. So Death in the Family was 426, 428, I believe. Year One was 404, 401 to 404, I think.
Right.
I mean, and even going back to what you were saying, like, great American novelists and whatever, Batman 400, Stephen King wrote a story in it.
Right.
So, I mean, they were starting to bring other people in, and it was getting very different. And I think that's awesome.
Right.
And that kind of gave it a little bit more legitimacy. And when they started seeing like, oh, this thing's selling a lot.
But it is a very much a case. I feel that Miller was building on what Adams had done.
Yeah, and Denny O'Neil. Let's not forget Denny O'Neil.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He was the writer of all that stuff. Neil was the artist, but together they were like so unbeatable.
Right.
That like Green Arrow, Green Lantern stuff.
Right.
I mean, they whatever they worked on, they just took and. If it was here, they put it here. If it was here, they put it here. If it was here, they just kept going. And as much as I don't love Frank Miller's work anymore, you can't deny his importance.
Right.
In the comics world, you can't be, like, oh man, that Wolverine cover looks like crap. This guy's a friggin' hack, man. Now, and then go back and look at this, and it looks so different.
Yeah.
This is when his style started getting, I mean, for really lack of a better word, more stylistic. And he, people would look at that and be like, oh yeah, that's Frank Miller.
Well, and it was very much the Dark Knight Returns that they gave him kind of carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wanted after that.
It was his art in this was almost like a kind of like dystopian cyberpunk sort of feel.
Right.
It was weird. But, for this, it really, really, really worked because, you could buy This Is the Future.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe an important part of this book is if they did that before, you look at some of the, 60s and 70s stuff, and say Batman's in the future and you got spaceships and, the Jetsons and Batman was like, whoa, where am I? There's always a time travel, whatever. But this actually felt like it was in the future.
Yeah.
What future? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who cares? It was good.
And I do compare this a lot to the Last Ronin stuff.
Oh yeah,
I see a lot of visual style following into the Last Ronin.
In my mind, it is really I know it sounds weird, but it's kind of similar to RoboCop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got that, TV reporting on everything and whoa, what are they putting that on TV for?
Right.
And, and like, there's gangs running around the city and, stuff like that. And Batman's almost kind of RoboCop-y.
Yeah. And there's a lot that built on on Dark Knight, because I don't think without Dark Knight, I don't think you have the influence of the Watchmen. I don't
Right.
think you have the influence of the Ninja Turtles or a lot of that type of grittier, forward-looking
Yeah,
stuff
I would agree
that
with
was
that.
going on.
But then again, there's bad, because without Dark Knight Returns, you never would have had Dark Knight Strikes Back.
Oh, that's true as well. That's true
But
as
you
well.
know, whatever.
Here
Here nor there. But
and this might be a hot take. I do feel that Death in the Family was a better story by far.
I think it was.
I think what propelled this was just the fact that it was built as a trade, as opposed to or built as a graphic novel as opposed to a trade.
Yeah. And that's when graphic novels were those little prestige things. We talked about that before, like The Cult.
Yeah.
Batman and the Cult. That was so good.
And I think that's a missed opportunity in comics in general, but Batman really did graphic novels right. Mm-hmm. Like there's the Elseworld stuff. Batman or Gotham by Gaslight is one of my favorites.
That's pretty cool.
I think that is visually one of the best.
I mean, and you can see what the actual game changers were, if you just look on the shelf right now. So, and you've got, what do we have? We have a sequel to Long Halloween.
Right.
We have a sequel to Gotham by Gaslight.
Right.
We've got a possible alternate reality, whatever, of Death in the Family. You had 2 sequels to this. They just keep, you can tell what the important stories were.
Right. And so we did a poll and asked in the group what your favorite or what you feel is the most influential Batman storyline. And I didn't list it, but Long Halloween is the one that was voted the most influential for sure. Carrie says Long Halloween, Dark Victory, all-time Bat favorite.
I like Long Halloween more. I thought Dark Victory was good. I thought it was really good. And I think that's kind of when Loeb and Sale were at the top of their game. That was, and then the Spider-Man Blue was pretty good. They just kept doing that stuff. Daredevil Yellow was good. And then after that, it just didn't work for me. It's they kind of latched onto the one thing they were doing well and just did it over and over and over and over. But yeah, I Dark Victory was still really good though. I'd have to go with Long Halloween being better just because it was so new. You had those thicker cardstock covers on it. They looked different. They felt different.
And if we look to more modern Batman, so you've got Long Halloween Killing Joke is, in my opinion, probably the best modern storyline. I love the Killing Joke. I think they did a great job with that.
Pretty great.
What else? The Court Owl stuff. We were just discussing that, and you're not a huge fan.
Not a big fan.
And I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. I haven't actually read it yet. I'm
hoping I'm tempering your expectations a little bit, because people will be like, "New 52, man, it rocked. It was so cool." I'll say, some of it was, but like the New 52 as a whole, I didn't love.
Yeah.
I felt like they were trying way too hard to be something different that they are not. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that I think if they just would have kind of took it down a notch and quit trying to be so. Everybody was a badass in New 52. Everybody, when you get to the point where Aquaman is a badass, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
You kind of just are.
I haven't read the Batman stuff. I haven't read the Court Owl stuff. But like the Earth 2 stuff, the Superman action, all that. It was okay.
It was all right.
It was, and I'm a huge Superman guy.
I didn't like the Action comics. I didn't like Morrison's action. I thought it was a mess.
It was. I mean, I was about to say it was hard to follow, but it wasn't really hard to follow. I mean, you follow it because it was just so simple. Like there was no substance there.
Well, you know, and the big problem I feel, between Superman and Action is there was no communication, and editorial let Morrison do whatever he wanted to do.
Right.
They were just like, go, do whatever. You know? And the people on Superman, George Perez, was like, oh, wait a minute. This doesn't work.
Right.
Like, how could these are totally different characters? And they're like, oh, yeah, we just told them to do whatever. It's like, well, don't do that. You know, and you have to be somewhat, like, those two have to connect. If it's early Superman and later Superman, which is what it was, they have to connect, man. You know what I mean? They have to connect. You can't just throw that out there.
And that's kind of how I feel about Snyder's Batman.
Mm.
I feel that era, which really we just got out of.
Mm-hmm.
Batman.
Well, I mean, that's Batman, a good segue to Ultimate Batman.
Yeah, Batman,
Absolute Batman, whatever.
Batman and Detective didn't talk to each other.
Right.
I mean, I really loved Detective. I was reading every month. I'd read my Detective, but I think it's fallen off. But they didn't communicate with each other. They didn't mesh.
Right.
And they just kept trying to throw. I think they were trying to find another, Dark Knight Returns with the Batman who laughed and the vampires and the zombies and I mean, it just got way too much. Batman in outer space.
Batman versus Santa Claus. We can't forget that. No. I mean, they're doing a Batman in outer space right now.
Yeah.
Gargoyle of Gotham, which is a totally different thing and just entirely different thing. Absolute Batman, which is an entirely different thing. I mean, it's like there's two. None of these books hook up. None of them sync. And I think that's my big problem. And that Full Moon one, I want to check that out.
Yeah.
I'll got my DC stuff for next week, thankfully already, and I'll take that home probably tonight and read it, see if I like it. Because I mean, I that's the thing is I love Batman, but I don't really read much of it anymore.
Yeah. And I'm finding myself going back to find old storylines that I've heard about. And doing that instead of buying the new stuff.
And the old stuff was cool. It was fun. It was detective-y. It was dark and noir. And they miss that now. A lot of it is being missed. We've talked about this before. How I feel is just Iron Man now.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on, man, he's got a special suit for it. He's got a special, potion. He's got something in his utility belt. It's very 66 Batman with the shark repellent.
Yeah.
The guy's been carrying a shark repellent for 10 years so he can use it once. Come on, man. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, you want to go to SeaWorld? Hold on. Let me give a shark repellent just in case. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of feel that now. He's just, and he's just a rich guy that's got different gimmicky costumes. They're like, well, we're going to space. All right, hold on. Let me get my bat shuttle. Yeah, I'll go to space. Get my bat teleporter and teleport up to the watchtower.
That's what I was really liking about Detective.
Kind of brought it back to the basics.
Yeah, he was a detective again, and I think a lot of that was influenced by Year One, and the Robert Pattinson's Batman movie, which I absolutely love.
Still holds up. Yeah. Man, like, a lot of these DC movies, if you see them a little bit after that, like just a little bit after that, you're like, oh, okay. What else we have? I mean, they kind of fade away a little bit,
Right.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, kind of what I heard about the new Joker movie. You get there and you're like, oh, I guess I watched a movie, and then you go home.
That's disappointing. I really wanted that to be great.
So did I. I hear there's not much plot to it, and I hear it doesn't really sync up to the previous one very well.
Right.
Which is weird. Like, why would, I don't understand why they would have that much of a change from movie to movie. It seems like a, that I can't help but wonder if Warner Brothers got their fingers in this, because I mean I don't know, man.
I mean, it's hard to say without seeing it.
But yeah, I mean, I'm going to see it.
I think I know what they were going for, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the music, all that, the love story, and all that is in their heads.
Yeah.
Like it's a psychological thing, and with the actors involved, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that everybody's wrong, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I hope so.
So
but, I mean, it's like Grease. It's like there's a couple of sociopaths. They're in love. Nobody was singing. They're insane.
Yeah.
They didn't fly up.
Why are they dancing around?
They didn't fly up in their car at the end of the movie. They had a suicide pact on the beach, man. They were going to heaven. Anyway, sorry.
Been mainly watching the Bat movies, reading back issues. All new stuff is mainly indie. I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going way more into the indie realm than I used to.
Yeah.
Far, far more into it. I mean, I read Rodney Barnes' 2 new books last week. Johnny Gatlin, which is super cool. 20 Degrees, what is it? 20 Degrees Before Rigor, I think is the new one. That was pretty cool, and I've been loving the EC.
Yeah, I'm addicted to the EC stuff.
Man, I've been, I mean, there's so much cool stuff. And Skin Police, oh my God, that was cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that you need to verify your age for, I know, but
I check my ID.
Yeah.
Pick up my hold this week.
It was so good. It was really cool. And it was, they're hunting clones that don't know they're clones. So it's a little Blade Runner-y, but it's not derivative though. Like it's so not derivative. That's the first time I thought, oh yeah, that's kind of Blade Runner-ish. But they're not artificial people, but they're clones. And they have like heightened emotions when they get cornered and stuff. And that's part of the way because there's no way to test for them. You can't test for them unless they're dead. That's all post-mortem testing to see if they were clones or not. It was really cool. So, if you show up at the door and somebody's like, okay, you're a clone, man.
Yeah, I've actually read nothing but indies, Uncanny Valley, the EC stuff, and I wasn't planning on reading the EC stuff, and you got me hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's awesome.
It is phenomenal what they're doing over there.
So good.
But because of what we were doing at the convention, I've been reading a ton of local indie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got cut up on the Bleak Haven stuff and the Brynock stuff and Carrie's book, Sledge. That one's like he's really got some cool stuff going on in that.
Yeah.
Caught up on Wasatch Wonders, just so Evan would shut up. Sulfur.
That's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. No, I think it's it's a good time to be exploring some other things if you're bored with the mainstream stuff.
Right.
I mean, I'm part of my it's like a half and half thing with me. Part of it is I don't want to read the same stuff anymore because I feel I think I've reached like this point in my comic reading life where honestly I've literally been reading X-Men for 50 years now. Like I got my first X-Men book when I was 4. I've been reading it for 50 years and I feel like I've read what I need to read with it. And that's not knocking anything that's new. It's not knocking anything that's been in the last 10 or 15 or even 20 years. I'm just saying, I think I've read what I need to. And because, I'm getting older, man, I can't keep bringing stacks like this home every week. I can't do it, man. So, and that doesn't take away from anything that I have read with that because I love X-Men stuff and I will go back one day if I get caught up before I die and I will read those again. A lot of that stuff I will. It was awesome stuff.
Yeah.
and it changed the tapestry of media, really.
Oh, for sure.
The X-Men, Batman, all those, those older books, 40s, 50s, 60s stuff really changed what popular media and popular culture looked like. And to this day still does. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be talking about the new Joker movie because there wouldn't be one.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine 40 years ago somebody was like, oh, yeah, there's going to be Joker movies all over the place, man?
Yeah.
No, there's not.
Well, you would have never thought, in 1986 that Joker would be able to carry a movie on his own.
Right. Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
No.
But now it's perfectly feasible for me to think that I'm going to enjoy the Penguin series when it comes out.
Yeah.
Like, that looks super cool to me. I never thought that Alfred would be able to carry a whole series all by himself.
I still don't.
And haven't you seen that?
I didn't see it.
Oh, it's so good. Pennyworth was great.
Man, if I want to watch like crazy Butler adventures, I'll just watch. What the hell's his name? Who's the funny Butler guy?
Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah, I'll watch Mr. Belvedere. That's what I'll watch.
Mr. Belvedere, but he never actually killed anybody.
Oh, that's what you think.
Yeah.
Why do you think it got canceled? He's been in prison for the last 30 years.
Pennyworth was great.
I heard it was good. I just, then that's the other thing. There's so much content out there. I have to I have to pace myself,
I mean, I'm feeling the burn of that right now. We decided we were going to watch Smallville.
You've been saying that for like 3 months.
It's 10 years worth of 22 to 24 episode seasons. Like, it's
but it's Superman. Once you watch it, you watched it. It doesn't matter. It's all the same.
And it's a real burden. You get into the later seasons when he goes from Smallville to Metropolis, and like that, the TV show, the whole premise of the show completely changed.
Yeah.
And
it's not called Metropolis. It's called Smallville.
And I liked Smallville. I like John Snyder. I'm a big Dukes of Hazzard fan, and like when Pa Kent dies and all, I was like, yeah, that's where you end that, and then let somebody else take it from there. And
yeah, but maybe make another series called Metropolis.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Rosenbaum in the anthology of all Superman, the greatest Lex Luthor. Like, I didn't think that at first when he was just like, oh, this is WB and everybody's got to be in a relationship type thing. But when he started turning evil.
Not Jesse Eisenberg? Dude, what's more evil than peeing in Holly Hunter's lemonade, man? There's no more evil than that.
Yeah.
No, that was just, there were so many mistakes from top to bottom on that. But no, I think that Batman is always going to be around. Batman is an interesting enough character with enough depth and enough possibilities that whether I'm reading it and whether I'm enjoying it or not, it's always going to go. It's always going to be here.
And you're always going to be a fan.
And I'm always going to be a fan. I might not be a fan of what they're doing now. I might not be a fan of what they did 10 years ago. I might not be a New 52 fan, but I'm always going to be a Batman fan. These hurt to remove. They hurt really bad, and I got a lot of Batman ink on me, and I'm not gonna get skin grafts on my back. But yeah, I think there's no possibility there, and that kind of brings me again to the absolute Batman stuff, where we were talking before. We'll say if you like the New 52 Batman, you will like absolute Batman. It is not. I don't think it's what I'm going to need, but I hope, and so far it has been, we have sold a ton of them in 2 days, man. Cool. Like, we have sold as many of that already as any other book that's come out this week. That is the top selling book for the week. I will tell you right now, full on, man. And I hope, that it is super, super, super successful. Because, and if they do that, then they're saying it's okay to have other ideas.
Right.
Are they piggybacking on Ultimate Spider-Man? Absolutely, they are. 100%. Sure. Is Ultimate Spider-Man piggybacking on the alternate on Elseworlds? Yes. Is Elseworlds piggybacking on What If? Yeah. And it goes and goes and goes, and you can never find a starting point. It's like wars across the world. Where's the start? Where did this start? I don't know, man. Who knows?
Yeah, just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, sure. And if you come in and you're going to read Ultimate Batman, I keep calling it that, don't I? I can't not call it. I can't not call it that. That's just what it's going to be. So there. If you come in and you read Ultimate Batman, and you come back and you're like, I can't believe you didn't like this. This is the best thing in the world. I never read anything this awesome. You know what I'm going to say? Good. I'm glad you liked it, and I hope you continue to like it. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, no, it sucks. No, because not everybody's taste the same. If everybody's taste was the same, there would be 10 comic books up on that wall. We would order 1,000 of each of them every month, and that's all we would sell are those 10 comic books, and they'd be all the same stuff, and everybody would read the same thing. I don't want that. If everybody's tastes and likes had to be the same, we wouldn't have any of these cool indie books we're talking about right now. There would be nothing to push these creators out and explore what they're doing. There would be no, local books like we're talking about here. There would be none of this stuff, man. It would just all be the same crap. I don't want that.
Yeah.
No, I don't read Spawn, but I'm glad the people do.
And if the new Batman series ignites a love for comic books in the next generation, then we need that for sure.
Yeah, and I've seen there's been a lot of teenagers coming in and buying it.
Nice.
And which is always kind of surprising, if you see a teenager that comes in and buys a book that doesn't have a movie right now. It's like, I don't know, man. I think it's kind of cool. It reminds me of when they did do the first Ultimate Spider-Man series. Marvel was in a mess or in a tailspin. They didn't know what they were doing. They had too much stuff. They also had not enough stuff somehow. I don't know. Everybody was just going and doing their own thing. There was no continuity. It was a mess. Bendis came in, and was like, hey, I work at Marvel. What do you want me to do? And they're like, we don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. And they're like, yeah, but what do you want me to do? And they're like, we don't care. How about if I do a brand new Spider-Man book that has nothing to do with any of them? Sure, who cares? It's kind of where DC is right now. Yeah. Hi, Peter.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. So I think that's good. And then, like you said, if it reignites this love for comics and it gets more people in and it gets new people in that don't know really about this, because it's a good starting point. It's not the same as Batman. It's almost an unrecognizable Batman, but it's okay. It's fine.
Okay. So I do just to kind of wrap it up. I think it would be interesting to look at these storylines, these eras of Batman and how they correlate to the movies and that kind of stuff. And we can look at doing that down the road a little bit. I am excited to get into some of the old Batman storylines that I have missed out on. I was looking for my Death in the Family trade because I wanted to reread that and revisit that one. But
that was such a shocking, consequential book that they made inconsequential by bringing him back. I still hate it, man.
I still know absolutely nothing about Red Hood.
Yeah,
I know absolutely nothing. That is, I was out of the hobby at that time, so
I thought the initial Red Hood story was really good until they revealed that it was him, and then I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But we get that a lot. Yeah. It's just part of the gig.
Yep.
So what you got coming up in the store?
Oh, same stuff we were talking about last time, really. Noble Entertainment. They'll have some people here on the 19th.
Okay.
Doing that signing. There is something I announced today, isn't there? On the 30th,
Wednesday the 30th, the day before Halloween. That's when we'll be giving away our free Halloween books.
Nice.
Also just a couple of people, Adrian Rope, Bill Galvin.
Adrian Rope?
The Adrian Rope.
Right on.
Bill Galvin, who has a brand new
Okay.
Archie Halloween special. And Joni Broses is going to be here.
Right
Who
on.
is the cosplay model among a million other things, but for the new Vampirilla stuff. Red Sonja, she has a brand new Red Sonja cover coming out on that day,
Oh, very cool.
which is nice. That was a total coincidence. I went into
Really?
my FLC and I was like, oh shit, cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so it'll be good. So yeah, she
that's
got
kind of
brand
nice.
new-
So it'll probably happen.
Yeah.
It'll probably show up
Yeah.
2
They
days
wanna-
late, but
Nah,
you'll be struggling
But
to get them
nobody-
out on the shelf.
but nobody will die. Yeah. I'll probably get them Wednesday morning and I'll be screaming the whole time. Yeah, that's all right, whatever.
You'll be running across the room with one in your hand, and she'll be signing. You'll be like, "Ah,"
Right.
throwing it underneath her pen.
So yeah, we're gonna have some good fun Halloween goodness. We want to dress up. Come
So
on
that's
in, man.
Wednesday the 30th.
Wednesday the 30th,
Okay.
the day before Halloween. But I thought about doing it on Halloween, and I'm like, nobody is ever in here after 5
Yeah.
on Halloween. Like 4
Fair
or
enough.
5 o'clock, and it's dead because everybody goes out and does their thing. They're either by 7 o'clock, by 6 or 7 o'clock, the kids are either thrown up because they ate too much candy. The adults are thrown up because they drank too much. Everybody's thrown up. I don't want this, man. Stay out of my store.
All right. So the 19th, come in, meet the guys from Noble Entertainment. They're going to be showcasing this. I think this is such a cool idea.
It's a great.
They're
idea.
going to be showcasing 2 books that are from local creators from all the way in the UK.
Mhm.
So they're going to take 2 of our Utah creators and showcase them in England, and take 2 of their creators and showcase them here at Black Cat Comics
on
in
the
Salt
same
Lake.
day. We're gonna
On the same
be
day.
having, the time the time change is gonna be weird,
Right,
and-
right.
But there might be an overlap of an hour or something,
Yeah.
But it's gonna be super cool because it'll literally will be part of a global rollout of new books, and it's gonna be
Right.
so neat. I'm excited for that. It's a great idea.
And I'm just really super pumped about that, because that means our local Utah creators are getting international
Yeah.
recognition,
Mhm.
and that is just so cool. So
I love it.
come in on the 19th, support that. I
Yeah.
think that's important for our community.
Support your
Um,
locals, and we are going to have, we will have a local day coming up here. It's going to be probably early next year. Maybe we can have it coincide with the sale or something. Get some people in here. But I would like to do, and yes, you're invited. I want to have another local day. It's been a couple years since I did that. Just only locals.
And we have met a whole stable of Utah creators, extremely talented Utah creators.
Yeah.
And
And some are not so good.
Yet,
Some are not so good. But
but I'm coming anyway.
yeah,
So-
man.
The hope is that my book will be premiering
Yeah.
at something like that right here at Black Cat Comics.
I need to do a
That'd
cover
be
of it on it. Or a backup story or something.
I made a deal for a cover artist, and yeah, I'm pretty excited with what he's doing. But,
Oh yeah. No, it'll look better than mine.
I'm pretty proud of my Greg Gage exclusive Bleak Haven book.
Yeah, man, I I do want to do like a backup story.
All right,
It'll be a good backup story.
all right. we
I
can
know
work
what
on
the hell it's about, man. It's gonna be good.
All
I
right.
care what it's about.
So
Doesn't matter.
the 19th Noble Entertainment,
Yeah.
the 30th big time signing. We got all kinds of people in here.
Yep.
Please come out, say hi to Adrian. It's all of our local guys need your support. They really do.
Yeah.
And try not to stumble over yourself when Joni walks in. So, which is no small task.
Yeah. Good luck.
And that's on the 30th.
I have employees that don't work on Wednesday that are like, well,
Oh, yeah.
it's Wednesday. I'm like, oh, come on.
Who can I trade with?
Jeez, right?
Get that shit.
Yeah.
All right. And I will post up a thing in what do we got going on there? I'll post up a thing in the comic group,
Yeah.
and then we'll put a survey out what we want to talk about next week. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
And ring the little bell. And that'll let you know whenever one of these drops.
Drops.
We'll see you later, traders.
Traders.
Traders.